Salutations, fam. This is Arim from Haltessiagaming, and this is going to be a bit of a more discussion type video. There is going to be, I guess, like a stealth deck profile because I'm going to be using deck profiles, or rather deck lists to kind of like talk about this. But this is a type of comment that I've gotten a lot over the years. This one right here is actually the first one of this kind that I ever got on my channel. And this is from my Blue Eyes Dragon Link deck from 2019, I believe. And this type of comment is something that I get every now and again on my videos where people will be like, how is this a Blue Eyes deck when you're only playing blah, blah, blah amount of Blue Eyes cards? And I typically always do reply to these type of comments to like kind of explain like why this is a mindset. But basically, the message I want to get across from here is that you shouldn't apply arbitrary restrictions to your deck building. The reality is that like when you apply arbitrary restrictions, you are limiting yourself unnecessarily because in a competitive environment, you're the only one who's going to be doing that. At the end of the day, Salamangreat players are not going to not play Access Code because it's not a Salamangreat card. Like, they're going to be playing the Transcode Access Code, like OTK, if they have access to it. Like, at the end of the day, when it comes to building a deck, you build your deck around, like, the interactions that you want your deck to facilitate. You build your deck around, like, the win condition of the deck. You should be building your deck to do something rather than trying to, adhere to some arbitrary restriction because, like, and I really do want to emphasize that it is an arbitrary restriction because a lot of the time, or I say a lot of the time, but in my experience, literally in my entire time playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Across 20 years, I have never actually seen someone who makes the complaint about how, like, oh, they're playing a pure Blue Eyes deck. I've never actually looked at their deck and seen a pure Blue Eyes deck. I've never actually seen it. They've always just been playing an arbitrary number of, like, non-Blue Eyes card that they're okay with. So it's like, it's arbitrary. It's like you're just applying limitations to your deck building that are just making your deck worse for no reason at the end of the day. Um, so I want to kind of like look at some Blue Eyes decks and kind of like use them to kind of further explain the point. So this is an earlier draft of one of my fusion control variants. And the thing about the fusion control variant is that when I posted it, pretty much no one was saying that like this wasn't a Blue Eyes deck because out of all the different variants that I was playing at the time, this one used the highest number of like Blue Eyes cards. Um, and one thing about this deck is that this is very much a functional deck. I'm not gonna try and argue that this isn't a good deck. Like, this is very much a good deck. This is definitely something I would have played. But the reality is that like here that are just power crap. The reality is that like even in the context of playing a Blue Eyes deck, just because it's a Blue Eyes card doesn't mean it's the best card for that card role in regards to like what you're playing in your deck, right? The reality is that like the vanilla is something you have to play because it's the engine requirement. Even if you're not trying to like summon Blue Eyes White Dragon, the reality is that in order for you to utilize the best parts of the Blue Eyes engine, you have to be playing the vanilla because a lot of the cards require the vanilla. Blue Eyes Jet Dragon is, an exceptional boss monster, but you don't play this card because it, just happens to be like a Blue Eyes monster to summon from the deck. You play it because it's an exceptional boss monster that protects your cards and it, self-recurs from the graveyard over and over again. You play this because it's a good card, not just because it's a Blue Eyes card. You play the White Stone of Ancients because it's a one-card starter. This, goes to the grave and specials the Blue Eyes in the end phase, and then it also gives you follow-up because it also adds back a Blue Eyes card. So it's both, a starter and follow-up, and it's something you can get off of just this one card. That's why you play the White Stone of Ancients. Dictator of D is a card that you play because it helps, speed up your deck. It sends that Blue Eyes to the grave, and it can special your Blue Eyes from, special your Blue Eyes if you have like the right discard in your hand. Sage with Eyes of Blue is a card that it's not actually a starter in and of itself, but it can get you to your starter. You know, it's you normal Sage, you search your White Stone of Ancient. If you already have your White Stone of Ancients, you search your Effect Veiler. You know, which is that disruption that you can search off of this one card. And obviously it has the in hand effect, but it's just like most of the time you're not really going to be able to use that unless you draw like multiples of this. And then like you have like Lord of the Heavenly Prison. This is just a staple that I was playing in the deck. Because actually, just real quick, I want to talk about Lord of the Heavenly Prison because this is something that has been asked a couple of times. You don't play Lord of the Heavenly Prison because it protects your back row, because most of the time your back row is going to be face up, and this card only protects set cards. You play Jet Dragon to protect your back row. That's what this card does. It protects all of your cards, actually. Lord of the Heavenly Prison is a card you play because it sets any spell trap from the deck. That effect is absolutely insane. You play this for that effect to set any spell trap from your deck. You set board breakers, you set starters, you set extenders, you set whatever you want, and then it's attached to a 3,000 body. This card is really, really powerful. Dragon Shrine is another card that a lot of people will play in a Blue Eyes deck. Sends your stone to the graveyard, specials the Blue Eyes in the end phase. One card starter. Bingo Machine Go. Search True Light. This card is a card that continues to recur all your stuff. Right now, the thing is, none of these are actually bad interactions to play in your deck. These are all interactions that you want in your deck. These are all cards that are good to play in this type of Blue Eye strategy that focuses more on the control mid-range type of aspect of Blue Eyes. But the reality is that like a couple of these cards have just been power crept. A couple of these cards are not the best cards to play anymore. So recently, obviously I've uploaded my branded Blue Eyes deck profile, and the thing about it is that deck is pretty much this deck, right? This deck that I am showing to you right now is effectively the Blue Eyes deck that I am playing right now, but I'm just playing better versions of some of these cards. The reality is that like Dragon Shrine, okay, let's look at Dragon Shrine. Why would you play Dragon Shrine when you can play Branded Fusion? So Branded Fusion does the same thing, except it also summons your Albion. It gives you a Mirror Jade, which gives you a non-targeting banish. Okay, it is the same interaction, like the exact same interaction as it's the exact same interaction as Dragon Shrine, except it's just better. It is literally the same interaction, but it's just better. It sends your Stone of Ancients to summon your Blue Eyes in the end phase, but it also gives you Albion into Lubellion into Mirror Jade. It gives you so much more versatility while still doing the same thing. Why would you play Dictator of D when you have... I always hate when this happens. Why would you play Dictator of D when you have Keeper of Dragon Magic, right? Which does, functionally, the same thing. Keeper is that... So the thing is, Keeper is actually better than Dictator of D when it comes to getting your Blue Eyes in rotation, because, off of that, instead of having to have a specific discard to summon a Blue Eyes, you can have any discard and get access to a Blue Eyes, because this can search both Branded Fusion and Fusion Deployment, which specials Blue Eyes directly from the deck. From hand or deck, actually. So it's just like, why would I play Dictator when I can play Keeper of Dragon Magic and have the same interaction, but have a lot more interactions and be much more versatile? Instead of playing, Sage with Eyes of Blue and Effect Veiler, why would you play that when you can play the Dogmatica engine? Play the Nadir Servant. Stop doing that. Right? You have the copies of Nadir, the Ecclesia, and the Fleur-de-Lis. Right? So it's like, it's the same interaction where if you don't have your engine, it gets you to your engine, but if you do have your engine, it gets you to that, that disruption, because, you can search either Fleur-de-Lis or Punishment. And like Nadir, the way it gets you to your Blue Eyes engine is that it can send things like Chimera Felicia to then search Fusion Deployment, right? Remember, these are not actually, like the Sages with Eyes of Blue are not actually starters that put Blue Eyes on board, but they can get you to the cards that do put it on board. In the same way, Nadir and Ecclesia do the same thing. Because Nadir, you can send Chimera Felicia, search fusion deployment. Ecclesia, you can summon it and search punishment, with, sends Chimera Felicia during the opponent's turn to then search fusion deployment. And basically, it's like, it's the same exact interaction, And then, like, basically, this is the exact same deck. It's doing the exact same things, but you're just playing better cards. And obviously, like, in order to play, like, the branded engine, like, you wouldn't be able to play Extrav, so you just play something else. And if you watch, like, the deck profiles, you'll notice I'm playing, like, Triple Tactics Talents, for example, which is just overall a much more versatile card. And because I'm not playing Extravagance, I get to play, like, an actual, like, extra deck. I'm not playing an extra deck. And, like, with the new support that came out of the Dimension Forest, we have... you actually have another card that searches your fusion deployment aside from this. You have the new card called Album Renatus. I think my, like, new extra deck is something like this. Let me see. I think I'm playing one of that. Still playing this, I believe. One of that. The Entis, the Chimera Felicia, these guys. And then, like, I think the rest of it is, like, I think I'm playing, like, one more Super Poly target, because I'm playing the Masquerade in this meta. Because, like, Branded Destiny is very common, so I play this as a Super Poly target. And then, you have the Albas Fusion, so you have, like, Alba Renatus. So the thing about this is another card that you can, like, send off of, like, Nadir that will search your fusion deployment. So you can add a Polymerization normal spell or one fusion normal spell. So basically, like, when this goes to grave, it has the exact same effective keeper of Dragon Magic. So it's like you can add your Branded Fusion, you can add your fusion deployment, right? And it's just like this allows you to have much more versatility. And then you have the Albion. I play 2 of that usually because I want to send it off of Mirror Jade a lot of the time. Obviously, you play the Mirror Jade because that card is, just exceptional. It's a very strong disruption. It gives you follow-up as well. Lubellion, Titaniclad, and Titaniclad. There we go. So, the thing is, functionally, the deck is still using all of the same interaction. Notice how, like, I didn't actually lose any extra deck utility. I didn't actually stop playing any of the cards I was playing in my extra deck. But now I just have a lot more utility that I'm allowed to play instead of, like, what I was playing before. I'm still doing the same things. I'm still playing the same deck, basically. It's just that I'm playing more powerful cards that do more things. The reality is that Keeper of Dragon Magic is just better than Dictator in regards to, like, playing this type of deck. Because in addition to giving you access to your Blue Eyes, it also gives you access to Branded Fusion. It also gives you access to, it gives you access to both things, In addition, instead of just playing like Sage with Eyes of Blue, which gives you access to your Stone or your Veiler, you play Nadir and Ecclesia, which also gives you access to Blue Eyes, and it also gives you access to Disruption. But, it's just a more versatile card because Nadir Send Entis is a thing. Nadir Send Ultimate is a thing, Punishment Send the Ultimate, so you have, it's much more difficult for your opponent to put a monster on the board that you can't just out, and then the rest of the deck is literally the exact same, the rest of these cards are just cards I was already playing, Branded Fusion, and I think a lot of this, the reason why I get these comments a lot is because a lot of times I will just show the deck profile. I'm not really showcasing, like, the combo because I'm trying not to have my videos be, like, 2 hours long a lot of the time. But to kind of explain, like, Branded Fusion. So if you open Branded Fusion plus a Stone in hand, like, you actually just get, like, 3 Blue Eyes in rotation. So basically you go Branded Fusion, send the Stone of Ancients, Fallen of Albash, you summon Albion, then Albion banishes the Albaz and the Albion for Lubellion. Lubellion pitches the Stone in hand to shuffle back the Albion and the Albaz in the extra deck to summon the Mirror Jade, and then you have your Mirror Jade, and then in the end phase, the 2 stones will trigger and summon 2 Blue Eyes, but then the Mirror Jade itself can send Alba Renatus to then search the fusion deployment, which will summon another Blue Eyes on the following turn. So it's just like if your goal is to facilitate the Blue Eyes engine, why would you not play this over Dragon Shrine, where it literally does the same thing as Dragon Shrine, but it just does it so much more effectively and so much more explosively? Dragon Shrine summons 1 Blue Eyes. This summons 3. It's like, I don't see how this is less of a Blue Eyes when it's using the Blue Eyes more effectively and more often than the other deck, And at the end of the day, it's like, these cards are just better, more versatile cards. Because at the end of the day, it's like, you don't have to go into the Blue Eyes cards. So it's like, if you're in a situation where it's like you already have double jet in rotation, so maybe you want to do something else, you can send other stuff and get more value. Like maybe you want to be able to, summon a Titaniclad or something. You can do that, Maybe, like, because there have been so many times where I was playing the deck where I would just send Jet directly because I wanted to, like, go for an OTK, so, like, Jet's in grave, so when I attack over something, I'll be able to summon Jet from grave and not have to wait till the end phase. You can't do that with Dragon Shrine, This, like, just has more utility. There were several times where maybe my opponent had a floodgate up and I needed to out the floodgate, so I could go Nadir, send Entis to pop the floodgate, and then this will search the punishment, which will give me my Blue Eyes engine anyway, Right? It's like, at the end of the day, it's like when you are building a deck, you want to play, like, cards that facilitate what your deck is trying to do, rather than just trying to jam in as many cards that have the same namesake on them, So yeah, that's, that kind of, like, covers it. This is just basically something I wanted to talk about because it's a very common type of comment that I see on, like, my deck profiles, and just don't apply arbitrary restrictions to yourself if you're trying to play competitively. Like, if you're playing with your friends and you're trying to, like, have, like, role play duels, like, at the end of the day, like, everyone plays for different reasons, but if your goal is to be, like, a competitive player and you're trying to play, like, your deck competitively, don't apply arbitrary restrictions to yourself, because other people at tournaments are not going to be doing the same. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's that. Words are hard. I choked on my tongue. This has been Arim from Haltessiagaming. If you like this video, if you learned something, if it was informative, please like the video, share it with your friends, leave a comment. That helps me out a lot. Help me beat the algorithm. Help me get watch time. Share this with your friends and stuff. Leave my videos on the background. Blah blah blah. Yeah. Actually, I figured I should start mentioning this, but please read my description. There's useful info in there. I usually have, like, playlists and stuff in there. My contact info and stuff is in there. But yeah, that's going to be it. This has been Arim from Haltessiagaming. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.